Alrighty then, and then again. Welcome to the advanced drum break creation segmentation of this mixation station retaliation. All right, so here we go. We're going to do one. We're going to do, oh my goodness, why is this happening? So let's do eighth notes grid. We're going to put a kick on the 1. We're going to put a kick on the 3.5. Shorten it up a little bit like that. Okay. And I'm just going to duplicate this. This is going to be your basic pattern. Let's see. Bam, bam, bam. So we've got this drum and bass. And so check it out. We're going to take this second hit and we're going to lower it by 3 decibel, minus 3 decibel. There we go. And wild and crazy kind of stuff will happen. It's called a rhythm. A rhythm. A rhythm may appear. Here we go. A swing a little bit. So now let's grab a snare. Let's type in snare. Boom, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum. This is just your basic drum and bass. We'll put in the king snare. I like this one. Let's do snare 002. We'll put the snare here. Let's zoom in. We'll go 2. We'll go 4. And we'll keep everything like that. And let's see what we got. Pretty damn cool, if you ask me. Now here's what I like to do. Check it out. I'm going to transpose this one down just 25 cents. We're going to go minus 25 cents. There we go. And I'm going to lower this. Well, we'll leave it there. And I'm going to color it a different color. I'm going to color it that color. I'm going to color this that color, so that this tells me that each clip has been altered. All right. So now we're going to create more rhythm, more human swing, even though it's still kind of technically robotic because it's like every other snare, every other kick. But still, it's helpful. So that's a bit much. So 25 cents is a bit much. We'll go with maybe minus 12%. There we go. And let's try that. I want it to be there, but I want it to be subtle. Try that. And let's mix them around. Let's flip them over. Let's flip over this guy to there, this guy to there, and we'll see what we get that way, because I don't really like that. Let's do duplicate. Let's duplicate that a bunch of times. Let's see. We're gonna come here. We're gonna boom shift and then duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. Let's see if I like this better. I love that. Way better. All right. So now let's get some hats. All right. So let's type in hats up here in the search bar. Control F is the shortcut. So hats. Hats. There we go. Hat 1. Okay, that's a hat. Let's see. I didn't hear it, but apparently this is a hat. So let's put hat 1 in here and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to move these snares on top of the kicks because that's just how I do it. And I'm going to put the hat on top of the snare. And let's do duplicate. Let's do this. So we got eighth notes. So we got eighth note rhythms here. So this is already set to an eighth note. So that's kind of cool. And I'll duplicate this out for the first segment. And here's why. I'm going to remove it from the kick. And I'm going to remove it from the snare. The second kick and the second snare. And then I'll go ahead and swing this on out by making the first one. Okay, so these are too quiet right off the bat, but that's fine. I'll figure this out later. Actually, here, let me do this. Let me do this right there. There we go. Bring all these up to 0 first, so I know what I'm dealing with here. And they're going to be too loud, of course, but that's fine for now. So what I like to do is I like to make the first one quieter. So we'll go -3 dB for this first one. Oops, that's -3 in detuning. We'll get there. We'll detune them too. -3. There we go. I'm going to recolor it something else. We'll color it yellow. Oops, didn't color it yellow, did I? Okay, there we go. And so now I'm going to put it here, every other one, because usually when you play the drums, from what I understand, I'm not a drummer, but from what I understand, is that if you hit the cymbal once, it's loud. But if you hit it twice, the first one's usually quieter than the second one. And we'll see if that's true. We'll listen to this and see if it's got a cool rhythm to it. Okay, so that's not eighth notes. Sure it is. Is that eighth notes? These are eighth notes. So we got a problem here, Houston. There we go. So we're going to do that instead. I accidentally put 16th notes in here. We'll do that. So it works out pretty good. So I don't actually need to variate the never mind, just ignore me. I'm thinking out loud here. So this one is the -3. Okay. And then that last one, we'll leave that last one because that's an emphasis hi-hat. We'll go ahead and put all those 16th notes back in there. Is that 16th note? Am I on 16th note grid here? Is that what I'm at? Oh, I'm at 8th note grids. Okay. So I had it right. There we go. Now let's add some swing, right? Let's look for some, I don't know, some tambourines, right? Let's look for a tambourine because tambourines already have a swing sort of built into them. Okay, so I like this sample. There's already a sample made. Let's go ahead and throw that up there. Control T. And let's take a listen. Interesting. All right. So let's get these. Okay, so I like this one right here. Let's do this. 16th notes. I like this one here a lot. So maybe I'll come into here, into the sample itself, and I'll move this over just a smidge, right? Maybe to here, and see if that sounds good. It might not, but I think it really will. I think it'll sound nice. I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. I don't like really the tone that it's in. It seems like it's in the wrong tone. I'm going to consolidate this, and I'm just going to pitch it. I want to pitch it down like 3 or up 1. So let's try pitch down 3 and see what that does. that's ugly. We'll pitch it up one and see what that does. I'm liking it. All right, and so in the same here with the excuse me, the same here with the tambourines. So you're going to want to variate, or at least I like to variate. So I'm going to go ahead and split this. I'm going to color this a different color, and I'm just gonna take this guy and I'm going to do 12 cents here, and see if I like that. And I'll duplicate this out. Yeah, I'm liking that a lot. Maybe that's not the best snare for this, but that's okay. So I'm liking that. And so what you want to do is you want to go ahead and group these. And also, if you're going to do a snare layer, right? So you're going to group the snares as well, but maybe we'll get to that later. So we'll just rename this hi-hat. So HH, there we go. Hi-hats. So maybe I look for a ride cymbal now. So maybe, or an open hat, right? Open hat. I like open hats more than rides. So we're going to do open hat. And we got this one. Sounds really cool. So we'll maybe bring this guy in here. Oops. Let's put a track in here. Maybe bring this guy in here right before the snare. So we'll do something like this. Oops. That is a long tail on that guy. This guy right before the snare. In order to do that, I have to do this right here. Can't do that. Well, that's weird. I wonder why I can't do that. I should be able to just plop him in right here in front of the snare. There we go. So what I'm hearing is I'm hearing it maybe in front of this snare as well. I'm actually hearing it here. I'm thinking this is probably a really cool spot for it. Maybe here probably. Maybe that'll work. Nah, that ain't gonna work at all. That little last section works perfect. All right, and that snare's definitely got to go. That snare's the wrong snare for this, or that kick is. But one way to do that is the same way I did it earlier. Solidate, and then maybe I'll pitch everything down 25 cents. And we'll see what that does. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm liking it. All right, so now here comes the important part, the crucial part here. Let's take a look at the fader level meter in the hi-hat section. Okay, so now if you look at these tracks, right, real important, real important, like pro tip here, right? So pay attention to the bright green. The bright green is the RMS. Okay, and so if you want to make these drums loud, you're going to balance out this RMS level. You're going to listen and look. See how number 7 is a little bit higher than the rest? If we lower that down a little bit, it's not going to change the sound too much. And see how these hi-hats here are too low. If we raise that up, the drums are going to start to pull together. Okay, so now we can really hear this tambourine being out of time. So I wanted to give it some swing, and that's why I left it there. I saw this earlier, but I left it there because I thought, you know what, it's fine. But now I'm starting to hear that, no, that's not actually fine. That's an actual problem here. So let's maybe do something like this. And maybe this swing of the tambourines will come together and just tighten everything up. No, so I liked it better before. There we go. There we go. That's good. All right. So I'm not digging these tambourines too much. Maybe put this here. And we'll just do that. Maybe just repeat this section like that. And this might tighten everything up. Let's take a listen. You know what it is it's too much. This needs to be half time here. So I'll just do that. And then we'll see what this does here. Oops, my bad. So I totally made a mistake. Let's do something else. Let's half time this stuff by doing that, and that. There we go. So I will consolidate that. So now I've got a tambourine that varies in pitch and is half time. You hear it? Now check it out. Check it out. So we come back over here, right? So this is mixing, this is drum break creation and all that stuff. I mean, you get it, right? We made a break beat. So look. There's that RMS level I was talking about. See that? Now check it out. What I'm about to do is going to be kind of strange, right? I'm going to lower the snare to the same RMS level as those hats. And you'll see why in a minute. So now when I group everything together, we've got snare, kick, hats. I'm going to group everything together and rename it and call it drums. Or Dr. Ums, like I like to do sometimes. Okay, so that was the wrong button that I pressed. There we go. We're going to do this. We're going to rename Control R, DRUMS, drums. And let's take a look at the fader level. So what's going on here? We're up by 5. The hats are obviously too loud. So we'll go like this with the hi-hat section. Oops. There we go. The hi-hat section. What just happened? These are the drums. This is the group. What group is this? What the fuck happened just now? Did I just group the group? I'm fucking A. Okay, so I ungroup that. So there we go. So what is this group now? All of a sudden it's that. So I duplicated everything. That's fucking crazy. So we've got duplicates of hi-hats. So I was like, what in the fuck is going on here? All right, so let's get rid of this group right here. Bye. All right, one more time. Let's take a listen to this as a drum group. There we go. That's better. Rename this drums. Drummed. Drums. Drums, drums, drums. I tell you, drums. I tell you. All right. So now we can close out this hi-hat group and we can bring this hi-hat up into the drums. But we're going to start with the kicks and the snare. The kick and the snare. And we're going to get this up to as close to 0 as possible. pretty close. So we're going to lower down maybe this snare a little bit and blend that into the drum, the kick. Looks good to me. So now we're right around 0. We're at 0.63. We're only going over by a little smidge, right? And we'll deal with this later with a limiter or a clipper. And so now I'm going to bring in the hi-hats and watch what happens. Watch what happens to this bright yellow meter that says 0.63. Once I just start slightly introducing the hats. We're already up at almost 5 dB over, right? Just by introducing the hats to where you can barely hear the hats. So what I'll do, right? Because now, like, let me show you this example again. I'm gonna go ahead and zero this out. We're only over with the kick and the snare by 0.6 dB, so like a little over half a dB. And then if I turn on these hi-hats, watch this yellow meter indicator, whatever the hell this is called in live. Watch what happens just by these little bit of hi-hats that I added. Now we're up at 4.5 decibel over just by adding that slight little bit of top end. All right, so the solution, and this is why this is in its own track, the solution is sidechain or ring modulation, sidechain, however you do it, whatever kind of sidechain you want to use. So let's use classic stuff that just comes with live, so that anybody can do this. Let's say, okay, we're going to duplicate this compressor, right? And we're going to rename this to snare. Oh, it's already snare. Okay, so that's good. And then we're going to rename this Gydra kick to just kick. Control R. This comes from a sample pack that I downloaded off of Patreon myself. So we'll rename that kick. There we go. So now I know kick and snare. I'm going to take off the limiter. I don't know why I have the limiter on there. That really pisses me off. I hope I didn't just destroy the sound now all of a sudden. Let me take the limiters off these hats as well. And I know that those aren't going into the limiter for sure because those are quiet. And I didn't realize I had an EQ on here, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's see if see what we got here. Okay, so we're just a little bit above here, and that was the exact amount before I added the hi-hats actually, so that's pretty interesting. All right, so let's do it. Let's sidechain compression. Let's take this right here and we'll do input from the kick. Change this section to peak, right? Peak limiting. And we'll just leave the EQ the way it is, right? For now, it doesn't matter. Post effects, that's fine. That's perfect. And then this one will sidechain to the snare. So we'll come over here. We'll sidechain this to the snare. Where's the snare at? How come I can't see the snare? What's wrong with me? Oh, there it is. And then we'll change this to peak. And now we're going to crank these ratios just like that. We're going to lower the attack down to nothing practically. And then we'll play with the attack and the release, but we'll just see what happens here. We'll start with the kick. Okay, so I didn't adjust any settings. So let's see where we're at now. So we were at minus 4.5 essentially in decibel over 0. So just by activating this, I've already brought it down 1 decibel at least, or half a decibel. So now we can bring this down. Look. Let's do this. We'll go, I don't know, minus 2.5. Let's just be all nerdy about it. We come over here, minus 2.5, minus 2.5, because we were about 5 decibel above, and let's see what happens. We'll zero this out, and we'll see if I made a difference or not. Okay, I didn't really make that much of a difference, so we'll do this, minus 5. minus 5. So they're both now the same amount of peaking above 0 that it was before the sidechain compressors were put on the channel. And we'll see if that brings it back down to right around 0.98 or whatever it was before. So that's making a huge difference. So it looks like minus 7 is going to be the sweet spot. So let's do it. Let's put this minus 7 here, minus 7 for the snare. And hopefully we didn't destroy the sound. All right, so let's play with that release time now. Let's just really lower that release time. And instead of like typing these in here, I'm just going to go by ear. I want that kick now to become louder by side chaining the hats. So just that alone, it made a huge difference. So now I'm going to lower the snare just a hair over here. There we go, just like something ridiculous, like a decibel or two. And so to keep everything simple, put the kick on 0, and then we'll go minus 6 with the snare. And these are minus 6.6, so we'll leave those alone. And now I'm going to play with the sidechain compression of the snare channel to the hi-hats to cause the snare to become louder. So we started at minus 7, and so I'm listening for the snare to become louder. I'm just going to ignore the meter on the drums for now. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm going to play with the release time while listening to the hi-hats to get the hi-hats to kind of sort of swing a little bit. You hear that? Now I can do the same with the kick drum, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe instead of this being 113 milliseconds, we'll bring it all the way down, and we'll cause a swing, but off of the kick instead. Now that is super cool. I really like that a lot. And now I'm going to come back over here, and maybe I can even add to the swing with swinging it off of the kick and the snare. No, that just ruins it. So before I did the side chaining, we were at 0.69 or 0.96, I don't remember. So now we're only peaking over by 1 decibel. So if I come in here with a decent limiter, we'll put on wave breaker, I think is what it's called. We'll put this decent limiter on here. We'll raise it up to 0 dB. The compensation is at 0 dB. The drive is at 0 dB. The gain mod compensate is off. Okay. Preserve 50% of the transients. Sounds good to me. So let's play with the saturation. Who knows, right? So it might even sound better, but that's not what the whole video is about. So we'll do that some other time. So that sounds good to me. I mean, that sounds cool. It sounds like actually I can bring that snare up to like maybe 0 now. So let's clear this out. Let's see if we're peaking over or not. Nah, we're not. So the RMS on that kick is right in between 6 and 12. So I'm going to do the same with the snare now. That's too much. I'm going to bring up the hats a little bit. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. Let me just go back to where everything was before. Let me go back to this section here in the wave shaper. There we go. So if you notice, once I started playing with the hat or the snare, it started affecting the hi-hat balance. So what you want to do is grab both of them, right, and play with them both relatively. And you do that by highlighting one, holding shift, and highlighting the other. So now when I adjust the volume of one, the volume of the other is adjusted as well. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and turn on this. And these settings seem to be the best as far as I can tell, to my ear anyhow. And let's do it. Now the hats are a bit much. And so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to adjust the hat's volume level and swing by adjusting the release off the kick. Maybe even off the snare just a bit, just a tiny bit. Maybe both of them, right? All right, so that's killer. Like, to me, that has a live feel, that has a live groove. Everything about it sounds and feels nice, except for, and what do you think I'm going to say? Except for the drums, right? Except for the snares. The snares seems like, hello, I'm Robot Man. Donk, 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 Robot Guy here. Hello, welcome. It's me, Robot Guy. All right, so let's fix that. Let's remedy that by simply duplicating the snare channel and grabbing a snare. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to recolor everything. Let's do green or something like that because I like green. There we go. And I'm going to do this and get rid of all these goofballs that are unnecessary in this chain down here, because this is a basic drum break creation video. This is not like advanced. This isn't jungle. This isn't whatever, right? So now we're going to open up the hi-hats as well and take a look for spaces in between things, right? So we've got a space in between the snare, the tambourine, and this hat. And so that would probably be a good spot, but it's right after the snare, which is fine. Here's why it's fine, because when you hit a snare, you make mistakes. The drumsticks fall onto the snare itself and sometimes causes a serious issue. So let's hear what happens by just adding that. Okay, well, that's obviously way too fucking loud and way too close to the initial hit. And I'm going to pitch it down one step. So this will be pitched down 1.25 steps. So 1.5, or not quite 1.5. So anyways, and it's way too fucking loud too. So let's bring this down by a lot. Let's maybe bring this down to -6. And I'm going to bump it over to a different spot that's in between spaces here. So let's see. We got maybe right before the kick. That's a good, or right before that, where's the kick at? Yeah, right before that kick, that might be a good spot. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so that's a little bit too much tail there. And this is going to be too much body here. So, I don't know. Oh, shit. There's a problem. Houston, we have a problem. And that is, these snares are swung hella hard. Okay, but anyways, it doesn't matter. We're going to try this here as the ghost snare. We're going to give it a little bit more of an alive feel, and we'll see how that works. I'm just trying to find that spot where it works, and then I'll adjust the actual ghost snare itself later. Okay, that'll work. Oops. Let's try it right here. And let's lower this shit way down. Let's go minus 12 or something. Okay, so that's okay, right? Let's bring it down even further. We'll go minus 15 and pitch these way down. Let's see here. Let's pitch these down to 3 steps. We'll go minus 3. Boom. And sometimes it works better if it's on textures mode, but let's see what that does. Okay, so that'll work. That'll work, but I don't like the rhythm. So I don't know. Let's play with the rhythm a little bit. Okay, so just like before, you want to come in here and you want to vary the velocity. So we'll go minus 3 for this one. And okay, Google, cancel my alarm. Hold on a minute, I got my alarm going off. All right, there it is there. All right, so let's hear this. Okay, so let's just go ahead and just, I don't know, let's duplicate this out. And then right here we've got, right here we've got an okay, right? This ghost snare needs some work. What it needs is to get rid of some of that punch. And so one of the ways to do that, let's just go ahead and consolidate this section right here real quick, and I'll show you how to do it. So it's got a lot of punch, right? So, but anyways, here's the rhythm. Okay, and we could even make it more complicated, more complex. I mean, not complicated. So one of the ways to get rid of some of that punch is just get in here and just, you know, remove sections. Let's go ahead and turn this to off. Turn this to off. We'll remove this section here. A little bit of a, oops. And we'll go ahead and do the same for the other snares. And by having this off and removing the body of the sound, it's going to add to the realism of the ghost snare also. So because none of these are going to be identical. Because I have the grid off, I'm doing this by eye, and I'm leaving pieces in here that are different than other pieces on purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and put the grid back on, just so that I can snap everything together. And I'm going to do that. There we go. That. Oops. Let me not do that. That's going to move the whole piece. Let's just go and do something like this real quick. All right, so that's just going to move this piece here. Then I'll do the cross-fading stuff later. It's going to need it. I almost said if it needs it, but it will need it. And then let's come in here like this. Do the same thing. There we go. Here, same thing. And here, same thing. Okay, and that's going to be real helpful in not only adding a human element to it, an imperfect element, but also in getting rid of some of the power of the snare. Okay, so that's good. They sound okay. They don't sound like they need to be fixed. Let me take a listen to them on their own. They're fine. So they're perfectly fine the way they are. Excuse me. So let's do one bar and consolidate everything. All right, so it's got a little bit much of an attack. So you can come in here and do that again, or you could just literally grab a transient shaper. So if you grab like some kind of transient shaper, Trax is my favorite one because it's got a cool character to it. And we just lower the initial transient. Okay. That'll be helpful. Let's listen while we do it. That'll work. And there it is there. So there's a drum break. A basic drum break. Now you want to crank it, you want to get it loud. It's going to be easy to do because we've already got. So here, let's just resample it. I'll just show you. So if we put an audio track in here, let's boom, audio track, and we go in from drums. Let's get rid of trigger and easy drummer. We don't need any of that. We'll go in from drums. There we go, drums, and I'll turn this off and I'll record and I'll punch out right there. And here we go in 3, 2, 1. That was the wrong one. And it was too loud. I apologize. I forgot to turn off the channel. Let's try this one more time. All right, so we've got in from drums. And where are we at? As far as loudness goes, where are we at? Look at that. There we go. There's our drums, minus 0.4 dB. So we're right in that golden zone. We can get rid of this, and now we have a drum break created. Shit. Forgot to turn off that limiter. Hold on. I don't want this limiter on this channel here. Let me get rid of that. There we go. Let's try this one more time. And let's do it in 3, 2, 1. And I forgot to turn this off, and I forgot to arm the channel one more time. Okay. Cool. Let's take a look. It looks like it was red, so we're clipping. No, we're not. We're in minus 0.4, but it looked red when we were recording it. But because we did all the processing in-house there, so to speak, then we've got ourselves a nice, clean little drum break. We can turn this channel back on, and then there we go. Now we're done. It's really that simple. I mean, we could maybe chop this up, right, with other things as well, and then turn it into like some jungle beat or something. Who knows, right? Who knows? Anyway, so I'm just goofing off at this point. It's been 30 minutes. I hope you enjoyed watching. That's how you make a basic drum and bass drum break that when you push it into the master channel, it's going to look good on the spectrum analyzer, and it's going to be loud on the loudness meter. And it shouldn't affect your processing too much when you get to the mastering stage. But, you know, every mix is different, but generally speaking, this would be considered a general rule. So look at that. Everything looks balanced. Unfreaking believable. And with that, I suppose I am out of here. Have a great day. Make music. Have fun making music. That's the important part. Go to my Patreon channel. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. See, here's the real reality of the situation. If you don't leave a comment, I'm not going to know what you're wondering about. Like if you don't actually ask a question. And you can do that on my Patreon channel too. And I'm currently working on Vital Preset Pack number 2, which is a step up from preset pack number 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace preset pack number 1 since nobody's bought it yet. So go over there and buy it so I can make some